Black Adam is dropping this weekend. Is it just meh? Or is it meh? Or is it meh? Let's discuss this. Welcome to the Cinefanatics. My name's Robert Adams.
I'm Chris Adams.
And we have a review for Black Adam. This is going to be a spoiler-free review. And before we get started in that, make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't done it already, and join us down below in the comments where we could get your thoughts, feelings, and opinions of this movie as well. Let's start off, first of all, with like the stuff that we really liked from this movie. I would say right off the bat, easily the number one thing is Dwayne Johnson. This has been a passion project of his for the past 80 years or so. So being able to finally see his character that he wanted to portray finally up on the big screen, I thought he did very well at that. I absolutely loved his performance at it.
It's true. He's been casted in this role since 2007 or something like that. So I mean, it's been in the works for quite a while. So the fact that we actually got to sit down today and actually check out the movie, I was like, wait a minute. We're actually sitting in the theater. This has been something we've been saying. I believe Black Adam's going to happen when I'm sitting in the theater seat watching it. And I was sitting in the theater seat going, wait, I'm actually watching Black Adam. This movie's actually happening now. Huh. Crazy. And to see The Rock's passion, see Dwayne Johnson's passion for it it came through. It came through in his portrayal for sure.
Yeah. I liked him. I also would say I liked at least two of the Justice Society in there. I did like Aldous Hodge's portrayal of Carter Hall, Hawkman. And then absolutely love Pierce Brosnan as Kent Nelson, Dr. Fate. I thought that was exquisite casting. It was just so good. And both of those two, whenever they were on screen, they commanded that screen presence. And I thought they did very well at that.
I actually really liked Dr. Fate. I thought he was the best part about the movie, to be honest. And I was very curious, what is Pierce Brosnan going to be like in this role? And dude killed it. That felt like one of the most tried and true comic book to screen portrayals I've ever seen. And just, like you said, he just commanded the screen and everything. I loved him. My favorite part about the whole movie was Dr. Fate. The thing is Hawkman, he was good too, but my problem with him is the same problem I have with the entire movie as a whole, which is he had some dialogue that was a little forced, corny, not really well thought out. And I think that was a problem that plagued almost the entire movie. Is the script felt rushed in a lot of ways. I like the thoughts, I like the gist of what they were trying to accomplish and trying to do with it, but in a lot of moments there's just some really corny dialogue
heroes don't kill people. Well, I do.
What is that? This is a movie that's been in the works for so long. I feel like they've had plenty of time to kind of clean up those sections of the script a little bit, but alas, unfortunately it didn't happen.
And I think what's funny about that is a lot of that dialogue. I mean, a lot of this movie spent time with the Justice Society trying to fight Black Adam, especially because Black Adam has proven himself to be someone who will fight the bad guys, but he's willing to kill over it. Yeah. And the whole point of the Justice Society being there is to stop him from killing the bad guys. Not necessarily them going in there to fight the bad guys themselves. That wasn't their initial need to go to Comdoc. It was the fact that they needed to go stop Black Adam from killing the bad guys. What's funny about that is that's almost the same kind of dialogue that we had back in The Dark Knight with Christian Bale and Heath Ledger, and them talking about discussing how Batman's going to have to break his one rule, which his one rule was, I'm not going to kill a bad guy, a villain. So it's almost the same kind of discussion, but the dialogue from The Dark Knight was just so much better than the cheesy, corny dialogue to get across the same point that they did in Black Adam. And that's not the only cheesy dialogue. That was a main part of it, but a lot of just the common things of how people were interacting and talking to each other, people being exposition dumping all over the place. It was very forced. It didn't feel natural, and it just led to an overall meh of a superhero movie.
Yeah, I mean, overall, there's a lot. There is actually a lot to like about this movie. Some of the characterizations were good. I do think that they handled Black Adam's origin story very well. I think they did. I think they did a pretty good job with that. It is a little it's a little off-putting that, of course, we don't have Black Adam and Shazam together in the same movie for their first appearances on screen, because those are the arch enemies right there. But it is, if we're not going to include Shazam as a part of Black Adam's origin, it is still interesting the way they handled it, the way they kind of weaved certain aspects still into his story, regardless. So I think there's a lot there. I think there's a lot to like about Dwayne Johnson's portrayal. I think there is a lot that was still missing from his portrayal, and this was something that I saw in the trailers, where I feel like Black Adam should have had like a thicker accent for the region that he came from, but instead he talked like Dwayne Johnson talks. I'm not a hero. I'm Dwayne Johnson. And I felt like that wasn't accurate to who Black Adam was supposed to be. But I feel like that might be like a little nitpicky thing. I don't know.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% that well familiar with the comics in regards to Black Adam. Typically, I know a lot about comic books, but not so much his character. I believe Kamdok is supposed to be like in the region of Egypt, is what it felt like.
Pretty close, pretty similar, yeah.
Yeah. I was, while watching this movie, I was getting vibes watching like Black Adam, like kind of floating through the air, destroying fools like crazy. I was like, you know what? He's actually doing a better job playing Apocalypse than Apocalypse did in X-Men Apocalypse. Like what I was originally wanting Apocalypse to do and look like and move and sound like, that's what Black Adam was doing in this movie. And I love the character of Apocalypse. So that was just like a side thing, just as we're first seeing him on the screen. I was like, man, I wish Apocalypse did this.
No shot against Oscar Isaac. He's a fantastic performer.
Oh,
but
yeah,
they just didn't write Apocalypse correctly in that movie.
Yeah, they didn't write him as good. Yeah. They didn't make him look as good. But this is a review for Black Adam and not X-Men Apocalypse. We already know, like, that movie's. The other thing I really like about this movie is the legacy DCEU characters that are in it. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail because, like, some of them are kind of surprises as far as who shows up. It's not detrimental to the story. So, I mean, even telling you that there's characters in there is not really a spoiler. But I mean, it's fine.
And some of them aren't surprises.
Yeah, but I mean, seeing these characters from the rest of the DCU in here, it really helped, really put us back in that universe. And it's really weird given what's going on with the DCEU right now. If it's being restructured, how it's being reformed, what direction Warner Brothers Discovery is planning on taking DC. I know Dwayne Johnson has said that this is going to be a movie that's going to help reshape the DCEU. I'm going to be honest. I really don't see that after this movie. This just looks like another, we're focusing on this one little area within the entire world of the DCEU or planet Earth or whatever. And the little story that happens in this little area really doesn't have any effect on the rest of the world as a whole. So
I feel like we got a little bit of an insight of the direction they kind of want to head in, but as a whole, this isn't the movie where we're seeing just the entire story of the DCEU pushed forward in any major kind of way. Almost as if hey, let's not bring this up, but if you watch a Marvel movie, you can see how their story progresses in each one of those movies. It's obviously not the same. Obviously, DCEU is not doing the same thing that Marvel is doing one-to-one, so you can't necessarily expect the same kind of a thing here.
I mean, I would kind of compare this to, since we're going to compare it to Marvel, I would compare this to, say, Thor: Love and Thunder, in that Thor: Love and Thunder was really just like a small story confined to just what these characters were having to deal with. There were no long-term implications as far as we know. Nothing that happened in Thor: Love and Thunder is really going to affect the rest of the MCU as of right now, as we know. So that's what I feel like with Black Adam. As I said, in our quick Twitter, quick out of the theater review that we did, which, I mean, you need to follow us, Cinefanatics MLP on Twitter, and you'll see that too. I feel like this is very comparable to a lot of other superhero movies that were just very meh in general. meaning, like I said, like Green Lantern, even though Green Lantern was just like bad overall, it still was in the category of a meh superhero movie.
Yeah.
I said Ghost Rider, the 2003 Daredevil, a lot of the X-Men movies, they were all just mid-tier superhero. Nothing big and exciting like Dark Knight, like X2, like Avengers, or most of the MCU right now. So it's just very middle of the road. It's not bad. It wasn't terrible. I'll probably watch it again at some point, but
yeah. It's fine. It's enjoyable. I can watch it like I would watch Shazam. You know, it's one of those kinds of movies like, hey, I can throw this on again. I'll tell you what, like I don't know if you have any final thoughts, but I know for my final thoughts, I'll say this much. This is a movie that, despite it being in a long gestation period to come out, I still feel like this movie could have cooked a little bit longer. I think there's aspects of it that needed to sit on and kind of really rework a little bit before it was ready to be filmed and put out there. It's got good bones. It's got some meat on those bones for sure, but I feel like it's missing a key component to make the body function, like the brain. It's not to say the movie's mindless, but I do think that it's missing a very key piece that makes the entire body function as a whole in terms of, you know, what we should have expected from this movie. I think the passion's there, obviously, with Dwayne Johnson. I think we got a good cast filling out the Justice Society, but as a whole, I feel like we were just missing something. There was something that was missing, and I think that was a couple more once-overs on that script, honestly.
Yeah, flesh out some of the characters. For example, was it Atom Smasher and Cyclone?
Mm-hmm.
They were given like very little to do, but they were more of just the, hey, we're here. We're going to try to do good in this scenario of this battle that we have to do. Please let us know if we're doing okay.
They showed up.
Yeah, they were just there, and that's why I was like saying earlier, I was focusing more on like Dr. Fate and Hawkman because they were actually given a lot more to do with that. But yeah, flesh those characters out a little bit more, especially if we're supposed to be like introduced to this whole new superhero team. Let us meet the team, not show that these two characters are off to the side and barely get used and still like have their training wheels on, basically. So yeah, a lot of stuff like that. Some of the other characters, the mom, the son, her brother, all of that could have just used a little bit more polish, a little more fluffing, I guess, just to make their characters better, more enjoyable, so
well-rounded.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, I would say that's my final thoughts. Yeah, rating this like out of 5, I would say I'd give this like a 2.5. It was enjoyable. They kind of liked it, but
yeah, it's very middle of the road. 2.5 out of 5, 5 out of 10, whichever way you want to look at it. It's right there. It's right there on that middle of the road line.
Yeah. Anyways, that is going to be, we get it. It's the middle.
It's middle.
That is going to be our thoughts on this. Again, what did you think of it? Let us know down below in the chat. Again, like I said a little while ago, make sure you are following us on social media. We are at Cinefanatics MLP on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me personally at Robert Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd.
You can follow me at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as twitch.tv/Chris Adams MLP. Come on by there sometime.
Yeah, so anyways, again, that's our thoughts. Thank you for watching. Now, the rest of y'all can go take this movie, turn that sumbitch sideways, and shove it straight up your candy ass. Or we'll just see you in the next video. Good night.
Bye.